What's up, guys? CM back with another video. It's been a while, I know, but something good happened, and finally got rid of the most painful remark grind. Yeah, hi, camera, hello. Uh, so I started marking this thing earlier this year because Des Games had also done this tank, except he had a much better time because he got kind of lucky. And luck is what this tank is all about. Now, there's a reason why I say this. Because this tank on paper, in a lot of ways, looks okay, but very much is not. So, I'm going to start with the gun. Because this is a very typical sniper TD. It's mobile and it's designed to, sit back and, take shots at things that other tanks spot for you. Yeah, it does not do this very well. So while we have pretty reasonable DPM for our base DPM, we've only got 240 damage per shot, 240 alpha damage. Standard ammo penetration is with AP for 238 millimeters. Your shell velocity for that is 1030, so 1030 meters a second. Your premium ammo is high explosive anti-tank or heat with the same alpha damage, 250 millimeters a pen. Yes, also 250 millimeters a pen on a tier 8 tank destroyer with +2 matchmaking that's possible. Yeah, it's a yikes, isn't it? And then we've got 1145 meters a second shell velocity, so slightly better there. And then for your reload time, your base reload is just over 6 seconds. And your aim time is actually pretty good. Your aim time is actually surprisisingly quick at about 1.8 base. 1.73 here. This is, of course, including a 100% crew. And base dispersion on the actual gun in the game says 0.32 with 100% crew. That takes it down to 0.31. Oh, I forgot to mention, HE on this tank is a bit of a meme. It is slightly higher pen, so 102 millimeters of pen at all ranges. And it's a bit potato for the velocity though, 755 meters a second, but it is 320 alpha damage, so that's pretty nice against things that are squishy like scorpions or light tanks that you can easily pen. Getting back to the rest of the gun stats, this is a big part where this tank starts to fall down already. The soft stats on this tank are absolutely terrible. Whenever you turn the tank or move the tank, the bloom on this gun is horrendous. Even when you move the gun left to right when you're stationary, it's not good either. So while it aims in very quickly, the gun bloom is horrendously bad. Being a 90mm gun at tier 8 as well, I tend to find that this gun does not effectively track things either. It will sometimes, if you're lucky, if you roll maybe a slightly higher module damage roll, or I don't know, if someone's been shot by someone else, or if you get lucky enough to put multiple rounds into someone, but you are not going to one-shot track anyone with this thing unless you're really lucky. And that applies to all 3 types of shell. Because I have tried all 3 types for tracking, and not a single one is more effective than another. Mobility is one of its strong suits, however. 70 kilometers an hour top speed, 20 in reverse. And you've got a 20.57 base power to weight, your specific power. So it can go pretty quick. Turns reasonably quick as well, at about 47.98 degrees per second. And yeah, even on like some different types of terrain, you're going to still go pretty quick because the terrain resistances aren't that bad. Your gun elevation and depression, this is an interesting one. 15 degrees of elevation, 8 of gun depression. This seems pretty flexible, but the way that the gun is set out means you can't really poke ridgelines that safely. And you will still show basically your entire tank on most ridges, so keep that in mind. Armor, there is none, so expect everything to pen you. even with a lot of HE. 1200 health is actually not too bad for this type of TD at tier 8, so you can take a couple hits. Just bear in mind this is not designed to take them, so whatever hits you is probably going to hurt. I did find that it didn't really get modules damaged that much, so that's nice, I guess. Your camo on this thing, actually, I found in practice this thing was pretty good, pretty stealthy. And what I'll do once I've finished going through stats is I'll show you my equipment loadout and crew skill loadout, so then you guys can see what I was running. 360 meters base view range, nothing special, but it's something. So when I was marking this thing, I completely stacked this thing out. So I put on upgraded bounty rammer, I put on experimental optics, and I put on bounty. I actually put on upgraded bounty vents just to get the most out of this tank that I possibly could. Of course, large repair kit, large first aid kit, and premium consumable. I also ran, of course, camo paint, brothers in arms. I had most of the concealment skill as well, so I think only one crew member wasn't fully trained, and he was still in like the 90% range. Of course, repairs, recon, smooth ride, off-road driving. Actually, I didn't have off-road driving on this thing. I think I had clutch braking, snapshot, definitely had situational awareness, and then of course safe storage as well. And the whole time I was running the vents directive as well. On top of that, I was running the reinforced suspension to maintain speed when crossing all different terrain types. So let's put that on. I also increased the aiming speed. So this one here, because I found that this didn't really have that much of an effect, only took you down from 0.28 to 0.27, so I found that faster aiming was even better. And also I took the right angle periscope for even more view range, because of course these two do not matter with this tank, the way I have it set up. So the way I have it set up here, my setup of equipment gave me just over 3000 DPM, so pretty quick reload, pretty, on paper, accurate gun at 0.28 dispersion. However, again, the soft stats are going to let you down a lot of the time. Very fast aim time, tank turns a little quicker, traverses across soft ground a little better, has pretty nutty camo when you're both stationary and on the move, and 490 meters view range, so could spot without needing binos with this setup. However, when we compare this tank to some of its contemporaries at tier 8, this is just using these without any equipment, without any extra crew skills. So the KanonenJagdPanzer 105, this tank is far, far better. Yes, it has less DPM, but the 105 can actually, pen its targets reliably. 268 standard ammo pen with APCR, and I think it's 310 millimeters with premium heat. No, 330. And both of these shells are significantly faster. Well, certainly in terms of the APCR, the heat is kind of similar to the premium heat in terms of velocity as the 90mm. The HE doesn't have as much pen, but it does a lot more damage. And I believe, yeah, it flies a lot faster. Also, this gun hits for 390 on standard ammo and heat, 480 on HE, so far better shot per shot damage with the 105. These two tanks have pretty derpy guns, however, even when fully aimed. I found that with the KanonenJagdPanzer, it liked to throw shots in really weird directions. So keep that in mind if you're playing it. Do not expect the gun to reliably go anywhere near where you're aiming. What's weird though is that the 105mm Kanonen has better turret traverse soft stat, which means when you're stationary and you're moving the gun left to right while you're in sniper mode, this tank will have less bloom than the 90mm version. Very slightly less specific power, your power to weight, but you're probably not going to notice it in terms of this difference here. What you will notice is probably, to me, the biggest difference is actually the health. The 105 only has 1050 health, so you're not able to take as many hits. You will melt a lot quicker than the KanonenJagdPanzer with the 90mm gun. However, because you can pen shots more, your alpha damage is a lot more threatening to enemies. People are less likely to try and push forward against the KanonenJagdPanzer 105 that's sniping them than they are a 90mm one. Despite the difference in DPM here, which base DPM, yeah, the 90mm Kanonen has an extra 350 base DPM. But here's the problem with base DPM, well, with DPM. It only matters if you can actually pen things, and this tank will struggle to do that. The bright side is if someone is tracked and they don't have a repair kit, the 90mm Kanonen can keep them tracked very effectively if the shots all connect with at least the tracks, which is not going to happen unless you're point blank range impossible to miss. Now, comparing these to the Swedish wedges, Swedish wedges have more camo, more pen, more alpha damage. I'd say their guns are probably more reliable as well. Now, this is in siege mode, because of course you're probably not going to be shooting outside of siege mode most of the time. Gun stats on the UDES, they're not great. This is in siege mode as well, by the way. The SCRV-S1 is better within siege mode, just to make sure. Yep, there you go, within siege mode. And then when you've got both of these two compared, yes, in siege mode they're slower, ignore this. They are actually still pretty mobile outside of it. So when you're looking at these two versus the Kanonen, the 30mm of armor on the S1 matters a lot more because it's actually angled. On the Kanonen, it's flat, so you're going to get penned. Although one thing that the Kanonen has, that extra 10 meters base view range, is nice compared to the UDES in the S1. However, like I say, these two, you're more likely to get that DPM that you've actually got listed because you can actually pen things and hit them more reliably. The Rheinmetall Borsig, this is with the 128mm gun. On paper, less accurate as far as the dispersion and aim time, but this is a very reliable gun still. Better soft nets all round, other than when the gun's damaged. Less gun depression, so it's not as flexible position-wise as the Kanonen, but it has definitely got the edge in terms of realistic DPM because you've got better pen across the board. You have got better alpha damage. You can actually overmatch things as well because you've got a higher caliber gun. I think you guys are starting to see a pattern here when it comes to this comparison. Anyway, with that all out of the way, let's move on to the gameplay. So this is one of the matches that I had towards the end of my Gunmark grind. This footage is taken straight from my Twitch VODs because the replays, Wargaming updated for the Halloween Mirny event, and they also borked all my replays. So thanks, Wargaming. Luckily, I managed to download this from my Twitch VODs. I've created a highlight of this on my Twitch channel, so then if you guys want to go back and see what basically what I would count as one of the perfect matches for this tank is, then feel free to go back and watch it. No audio here because it was kind of potato, so don't worry too much about that. There's a reason why I'm holding my mic up in this video, and that's because the room that I'm in, welcome to my new apartment, it's a bigger room that I'm in compared to when I was living with family, so things might be a little more echoey until I can get a mic arm and shock mount for this microphone. On top of that, I also need to set up more in terms of EQ for my microphone, so that's something that's in the works. Anyway, very obvious where we're going to be going here. We're going to be going to A5. So, very obvious sniper position. In this type of tank, you absolutely want to be abusing this as much as you can. Because, well, frankly, you've not really got many other places to go. Because going over to the one line, you're not really going to get that many opportunities unless people are basically sitting in the middle of the open, which they won't do. This Scorpion here is actually going to prove to be quite helpful for us in terms of us not getting spotted. Obviously, we're going to be looking to try and get shots at that even 90, who is looking to push up the hill. But I also realize that the enemies are trying to push into the middle. We can see on the 2 line there that the enemy Progetto and the Centurion are in the middle there. But I'm thinking, well, if my team can control the hill, we might have a better chance there. But even 90 backs off. So now I feel, yep, let's turn and see if the Progetto or Centurion peak. So at the moment, actually at this point as well, I'm also thinking heavies now as well. Even 90's returned. So you've got to kind of be quite aware of what's going on in a match with this tank. You've got to be really paying attention to the map. And you'll note that I spotted that the Progetto would come back, and so turn, get the shot, get a second one as well. Firing heat here because the shell velocity at these ranges is very, very important for this tank. Enemy team have already pushed up to E2 as well. You can see the Tiger 2 there. It's only the M41D on that side of the map right now for my team. However, he is not getting spotted. He is in fact doing quite a bit of spotting for my team. We're actually going to see him do quite a bit of damage in terms of actually dealing with enemy tanks. He actually does really well this match. At this point, again, you've got to be really patient because if you try and relocate too early, you're going to just lose chances to shoot things. We're looking to get shots on this T92 here because we do want to get rid of their scout, but he is sticking behind the rocks and in the little dips that lead round to that side. So, yeah. Scorpion G as well. That tank's quite flexible compared to this one because it is still quite mobile. Again, you've got that better German 128mm gun and a turret. IS-3 there peeking. Scorpion had weakened his track, so that's one of the few occasions where you're going to actually track someone in a single shot. Try to get the shot at the T92, he just runs away. We're going to get one shot on this Astron. First one, of course, misses. You can see the reliability of this gun for accuracy, not great. There we go, one into the side of his turret. At this point, the enemy team decided just to YOLO. M41's had to pull back. The TNH there, trying to push him. Destroying the building there, quite important, because that now we have a gap to shoot through at the TNH 105. Those tanks are actually kind of annoying for the Kanonen 90mm because a lot of the time you're probably going to be wanting to shoot them with heat, and they have a lot of spaced armor, which will just eat your heat shells really easily. Now for an easier target though, Tiger 2. Didn't need to fully aim that one. He was going right into our mostly aimed reticle. Nice easy shot in the TNH there as well. We're not going to pen this one, but thankfully Scorpion is going to pick him up and keeps the M41 alive, which is actually really important for us, because that means if anyone tries to push that side, the M41 should see them first. Now looking to get shots into the middle. Scorpion looks like he got a shot on one of the heavies. I didn't see which one, maybe the IS-3. Looking up the hill occasionally as well, because the even 90 is up there. Enemy teams certainly have control of the middle at this point in the match, but they don't have complete map control. My team is present on the other side. You can see the Tiger 2 and the IS-6 on the other side of the hill. Again, like this tank, like I say, a lot of the time this is your playstyle. Also, we're going to see the gun really kind of, yeah, we missed that. And second shot, yep, went low. Scorpion, single shot, hits. Yeah, the RNG on this 90mm gun is really, really bad. So, at this point, I'm thinking, what's the enemy team doing? We haven't seen that many of them, as far as the ones that went to the 2-3 lines, like the Indian Panzer, the Astron Rex, the T-34-2. But at the same time, this tank, I can't really risk trying to spot them. Apparently T-34 making a mistake there. You should never, ever, ever peek like that. Enemy starting to peek there, trying to get a shot on the T-34-2. Unfortunately, he just pulls back before I can get a good shot on him. At this point, the match is actually still pretty even. Even though the enemy team do have a hit point advantage, that is going to, spoiler alert, that's going to change. So the enemy IS-5, we don't know the health of him at this point in the match, because I haven't been able to get in radio range of where he is. Same with the enemy ISU-152. We've never seen the Scorpion or the Charioteer as well. Now the IS-5 peaks in the middle, so he's not actually that healthy. Yeah, really unlucky there. That actually hits the driver's hatch at a really bad angle, at an auto bounce angle for even for heat. Enemy Charioteer basically just threw away all his health to the T-34 and the Primo Victoria there, so he is going to go down shortly. So I'm not too worried about him. There he goes. At this point, as you can see, hit points are looking far, far more even. We've still got a full health ISU 152K as well, who can do some real damage to things if he gets a good shot on them. At this point, we now see the Astron Rex pushing the M41D, try and take a quick snapshot, but unfortunately goes right into the dirt. However, the 703 dumps one into him. And now it's a one-shot M41D against a 400 health Astron Rex. Who do you think is going to win? Oh, it's the M41, of course. That Astron, I don't know if he was loaded or not, but if he was loaded, he was missing every single shot that he fired at that M41. So a little embarrassing for that guy. Indian Panzer trying to peek the middle here. Not the best idea against an ISU who is ready to shoot him, to be fair. T-34-2 still in the middle there with the T-92. As you can see, there's the T-92 behind the rock. No chance to shoot him at this point. He's going to just go down the little ramp there before we can do anything about him. Well, we try there. I was hoping for that blind shot to hit, but unfortunately, spoiler alert, that does not. But as you can see, hit points very, very even at this point. And you can see kind of why this tank is, like, it's not good at the one job it really has. You've seen the RNG on the shots. You've seen the lack of damage. You've seen even the frustration with spaced armor. Because this thing really, like, the AP is not great. Because at the ranges you're going to be shooting at, it tends to drop off to about between 202 and 210 millimeters of effective pen. Whereas the heat has the same pen at all ranges, but spaced armor will just eat it. But right now, the best thing to do for this match is literally just wait, like we've been doing all match. It's a very one-dimensional playstyle, this tank. You're either, I say one-dimensional, you're either going to do one of two things, right? You're either going to be doing this, where you are sitting in a bush, sniping, or you're going to be YOLOing some spots. So again, those tracks will have been damaged by the Scorpion before we fired a gun. At this point, I've actually decided, you know what, I'm full health. I can go and annihilate the T-92 and the T-34 too, over on E2. Fortunately, however, they are not actually together, because the M41D, before he dies, spots the T-34-2, who's on his own over here on A2. So I decide, let's get rid of him. So we're going to take the hit here, put our first shot into him. Yeah, he tracks us and kills a crew member, but we just instantly heal up with our large repair kit, large med kit. T-92 trying to get the shots into the side. Gets himself spotted instead. We've already loaded the HE for him. This is quite a lucky shot in two ways. That was very lucky for the accuracy RNG and also very lucky for the high roll on damage. And we're going to see why in just a moment. Now I'm pushing towards the rocks to limit his ability to shoot down. Plus he doesn't actually get into a position to shoot before I'm already round here. You can see the mobility of this tank is actually very, very nice. Auto aim at a range where it's definitely going to hit. 323. And now we just finish him off. That high roll was kind of important because if we low rolled there, then if the next shot hadn't pinned, then we would kind of been screwed if he decided to try and keep going around us. But looked like he wasn't going to do that anyway. But sometimes you've got to be cautious against anything with mobility and a turret, because they can quite easily circle you, even though you do turn pretty quick. Take the shot to finish off the Indian Panzer. And now it's just the enemy IS-5 and the Scorpion left. Again, we've never seen the Scorpion, so kind of playing it safe here. And I don't know where the IS-5 has moved to, because where he was last spotted, I should have seen him if I was shooting the Indian Panzer. Friendly Primo is climbing the hill now to try and get shots from up there. And he's actually going to spot the IS-5 right now. There he is. We're going to take our time just to get a shot into him, because teammates are not really going to shoot him unless it's the Primo, who does finish him off there. And now it's just the Scorpion. At this point, I figure, well, for gun marks, what's the best thing to do? And the best thing to do is use my mobility to go for the scouting role, which is the only other thing that you can really do with this tank, and it's not something you can do in every situation. You're not something that can be a scout at all times. And even then, the times when you can scout, it's either going to be from a bush or it's going to be on a map like Prokhorovka. And that's it. That's the match. This was an ace tanker, so we'll get onto the battle results screen in just a second, because I did make the highlight long enough to include that. And any second, there we go. So ace tanker, we did get a blind shot, so 3200 damage, well 3233, 1282 spotting, 3 kills. I think there was something like 1235 base XP or something like that. So it was a pretty good match. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, just skipping past things. No, I don't actually end up showing that. That's fine. So guys, the KanonenJagdPanzer with the 90mm gun. Possibly one of the worst tier 8 TDs? If not the worst premium TD? I'd say so. One of the most painful gunmark grinds you could possibly do? Very much so. If you guys actually have this tank, you're going to be actually one of the few people who still do, because a lot of people who had bought this tank traded it in for the 105 when that was released. And I was an idiot and got both, but hey-oh. Here we are. Another tank to 3 mark. So, there it is. Did actually get third mark the stream directly after the one that this was from. So, that felt good. So guys, that's all from me for today. You can probably tell that I do not like this tank. Or if you've watched my stream, you very much know I do not like this thing. I do really feel this tank, out of any tank in the game right now that's at anything that's like reasonably high tier, actually possibly out of anything right now, needs one hell of a buff. And if I was wargaming, you know what? The two things that I would buff in this tank: alpha damage and pen. Give this thing maybe 248 standard pen on AP. Buff the heat to about 280, 290. Probably maybe, I would maybe say 290. But also increase the alpha damage to 280. Because with the way the gun handles, in terms of where it throws shots, it really needs the ability to be a threat. And no one feels threatened by 240 alpha damage from a tank destroyer at tier 8. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you like this, then do be sure to head on over to my Twitch channel, where I have been back to streaming semi-regularly, basically whenever I can. If you're watching this, then I shall be streaming on Twitch, because this should go up just before the stream. If it doesn't, then I'll be streaming probably the day after this, which day of recording is the Thursday, 20th of October 2021. And if it doesn't manage to go up before my stream, well, as I'm recording this, then it will be up the next day. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Peace out.